Good morning all. So let's start the next lecture in this. I think previously we had talked about what topics? Today is the third one, right? So first was like general introduction to what is power systems and all. And the next class we talked about AC circuits. And this is third one or fourth one? Fourth one, okay. So I think we had talked 2 lectures about AC circuits, and now we'll try to see about power system. So in terms of power system practice as a course, so today we are actually starting something to do with power system, whereas until the previous class we were only talking about the voltage sources and impedances and things like that, which are like common AC things. So today we'll start something with power systems. Again, as I have already told you, last year we already did this same course, and there are already same course videos are also available. So you can review that. So this time I'm trying to do something slightly different than what we did last time. Although the topic is same, the things are same. So maybe it will be advantageous for you to listen to this lecture and also to last year's one. So it is like twice you can get practice. Okay, so to begin with, what I'd like to do is like, let's say, electrical equipment. Just to classify, either you can say or energy. This is energy. Energy conversion and energy transmission, or I'll write it energy transfer. Okay, so either the equipment is useful either to convert the energy or to transfer the energy from one place to the other place. Okay, so if you convert from like some other form to electrical form, then it's a generator. Like mechanical to electrical, then it's a generator. And if you do the opposite, convert the electrical to the other form, then it is a motor. Okay, so it may be anything. Let me just switch off the slides. So, I think it is there. It looks better on video. Okay, energy conversion. So what you just talked about, generator and motor. This is just very general classification. So under generators and motors, again, there are AC generators, DC generators, some kind of other special kind of generators, okay, which is and also even this also AC, DC, and then some others also. I'm not writing others, just to mention. So coming to energy transfer, what do you have? So I'll write it transformers. So this transformer is an AC transformer. So what is the job of transformer? Yeah, step down the voltage or step up the voltage, and conversely step up the current and step down the current. Okay, so it will change the characteristics of the AC voltage. So that is one device. Then you have power transmission lines. So I'll call it TX line. Okay, TX means transmission line. Okay, so it is a line to transmit power. So typically there will be like kilometers of lines, like 100 kilometers or even 500 kilometers transmission lines. Okay, high voltage and all. So these are again AC and then DC. So there can be a transmission line of DC voltage where there will be a positive terminal, negative terminal, and so on. Or there can be an AC voltage, phase and neutral. What else do you have? Some kind of power electronic devices. So electronics means, typically electronics means it's low voltage stuff like that, where you are trying to manipulate the electronics, a small amount of currents and voltages, which represents some kind of data, some kind of signal. Maybe it's a video, or maybe it's a song or something like that. Information, data, you are processing that through your electronic circuits. So, but that is only electronics. But what is power electronics? Okay. So in power electronics, what you are trying to do is you are, instead of manipulating information, instead of manipulating data, anything, you are actually manipulating the power itself. So you are trying to have a lot of switches, and then you are trying to switch on some high voltage, high current devices, and to manipulate the flow of power itself. Okay. Just as if you are manipulating the flow of information in a small chip, you are manipulating the flow of actual electrical energy. Okay. So that's why it is called power electronics. Of course, this we will not go into detail in this course. So there could be some rectifiers, inverters, okay, and then there are many other devices which I will not, I'll just write others. It's besides the point. So rectifier means it converts what to what? Yeah, AC to DC is rectifier, DC to AC is inverter, and then others maybe many other like STATCOM or SVC or TCSC, like that. There are many power electronic based devices like FACTS devices. So the general term is FACTS. So flexible AC transmission system, FACTS. Okay. So AC systems which are they try to add some flexibility to your AC system, but then again this whole branch is like kind of beyond the scope of this course, which is on general power system practice. So so what we will try to work in this course under this all electrical equipment is maybe how do you represent a generator, that too AC generator, and then maybe AC motor, okay, and then in fact there could be other loads also. So I can write it loads. So there could be lighting, there could be heating, there could be ACs, air conditions, there could be many other ways in which you are consuming the light. So that's also energy conversion, okay. So even this we will cover. How do you represent a load? How do you represent a generator? Load, motor, here definitely transformer representation will come into picture. How do you represent a transmission line AC? So DC transmission line, maybe if we have time, we will go into details how to model a DC transmission line in a large power network. Okay. So I have just given, there may be many other types of electrical equipment. I have just given the ones which are pertaining to actual energy, manipulating the actual energy, out of which some of these things we will try to model. Okay. So that's about one part of the class. Okay. And if you look at the title, it is per unit system for representation of power system. So what is a power system? What do you understand by the word power system? We already talked about it in the first class. Power system is nothing but there will be a generator, bunch of generators, then there will be a transmission network, then there will be a distribution network, and finally there will be a consumption. This chain together, everything we are calling it as power system. Okay. Maybe there are like 10 large generators. Maybe there are 50 transmission lines. Okay, one line is connecting generator 1 to generator 7, other line is connecting generator 7 to load number 5 or something like that. So it's all like a road network of roads, or network of some communication lines or something like that. This is a network of power network. Then there is a distribution. So usually the transmission lines are high voltage, and then they are long distance, whereas distribution network there will be a transformer step down, and then you distribute it in a small area. Okay. So like that. So there may be thousands of customers, there may be hundreds of distribution areas, all these things. So now the question comes, so this is what is power system. Now the question comes, what do you want to represent? You want to represent G, T, D and C everything, or you want to represent only the last part or only the starting part, whatever, depends on where you want to study. So if your study is mostly about generation and transmission, then you don't want to represent distribution. In that case, what you do? So for example, there are 1,000 customers. Okay, so maybe 200 customers are in the same place. So you take the total of all those 200 customers and then say them as a combined power demand or power load at one single point at the edge of the transmission network. So you will not model the distribution and customer, just simply total the total load and then attach it to the end of the transmission network. So that is one way of modeling it. Okay, we'll see some example. Don't worry. So that's the approach initially we'll follow. You cannot even also there's something called size of the power system. Okay, what is the size of the power system? In terms of, we are not talking about how much tall or height or length or anything like that. When you represent a power system in the form of a power system network model in a computer, the how much size that computer memory is taking or something like that. So that's the one way of saying size of the system, and usually you represent it in the form of a matrix. Okay, you might have studied matrices. Okay, you represent the power network in the form of matrix. Question. So when you want to represent a power system and you want to store it in a computer, then you have different ways of representing a power system. Okay. So and mostly you will be doing it in the form of a matrix. Okay. So I'll give you an example that will, in fact, per unit system is required to go to the next step where you have a matrix based representation of power system. So, and the matrix will have a size. So n cross n matrix. So a small power system may be 5 cross 5 matrix. A large power system may be 500 cross 500 matrix. Okay. So if there is a matrix and the size is 500 by 500, okay, this is just multiplication. So 500 by 500 is so there will be many elements inside that. So all of these elements together represent a model of a power system network, how the model behaves. Okay. Now what do you do with this matrix? So what you do with this matrix is, so it's like AX equal to B. I'm just generally telling it. It's this is one of the simplified models. So this matrix is A. Then what is X and what is B? Okay, so one is, you can think of Ohm's law. Okay, so Z into I equal to V. Okay, so impedance into current is voltage. This is correct, right? So this may be n cross 1. So 500 cross 1. There may be voltage of node 1, voltage of node 2, up to voltage of node 500. Because there are 500 nodes, the right hand side, these are all voltages. Okay. And then you are interested in maybe the currents or things like that. So what is the loop currents or things like that? You may define loops in your network and how much current is flowing in each loop or something like that. So we will see an example for this. So here maybe like this 500 loops or something like that. Sometimes it's not always required this should be square matrix, it can be non-square matrix also. This is just one example I am telling. This is what we are calling as size of the network. Now the problem is, can you invert a 2 by 2 matrix without using a computer? So you can do that. Can you invert a 3 by 3 matrix? Slightly difficult. So but then still you can, hand calculations you can do it. So but then 4 by 4 matrix inversion, 5 by 5 inversion or 500 by 500 matrix inversion, definitely you should use a computer. So you have to rely on using computer to invert such a large matrix. And why do we want to invert? So to solve these things, Ax equal to B, X equal to A inverse B. So X is unknown. So then you have to do A inverse, multiply it with B and all together. So therefore some kind of matrix manipulation kind of thing is needed. So that is all very ahead of this course, of course, which we will also cover. But before going to that, so today we are talking about this per unit system. Okay, how do you represent all these things? So let me introduce some symbols, obvious symbols. The symbol for generator. Okay, you might have already seen it. The symbol for generator is like this. So a circle with a small sine wave kind of thing. Okay, so that's the symbol for generator. So it's also symbol for any AC generator. That means you are generating the AC, this one. Now there will be one line which is coming out of it. Okay. Now typically in a power network, in a large power system and all, it's three phase. Last time we hinted about advantage of going to three phase, but then the three phase is not our topic today. Maybe next class or sometimes we'll talk about three phase also. But right now consider this a generator and I am drawing only one line. Okay, one line is coming out of the generator. Okay, so strictly speaking, there are actually three wires coming out of the generator. There is not one wire, three lines are coming out of the generator, but this is called a single line diagram. So we are saying each phase is similar. Phase 1 is similar to phase 2, not exactly equal, but phase 1 is similar to phase 2, phase 2 is similar to phase 3. Like if the phase 1 current is 20 amperes, phase 2 current also 20 amperes, phase 3 current also 20 amperes by magnitude. So like that we are assuming it's a balanced three phase power system. Okay, in a balanced three phase power system, all the each phase values are equal. Okay. If that is the case, then if I solve only one phase, then the other two phases I don't have to solve it. The same numbers are there. So that's why only one line we draw it. Single line representation of a generator. What about load? Okay, the load is represented as a triangle like this. So just a downward pointing triangle. So just to say that some kind of load is there. It's just a symbol, so it's okay. So why only triangle? Why not use circle or why not use a rectangle or square or something? We can always say. But the problem is, if you everybody in the textbooks all they are using the same notation. Okay. So actually you can see why is the shape of A like this? Okay. Why is the shape of A like that? I can call this one as A. So something like this is also A. So you can do like that, but then others will not understand. So for everybody to understand, that's the problem with our this thing language. So this is a language actually, power system notation language. So we are learning that language. AC motor again, motor is also same. In fact, you must know by now that the same machine I can connect it and run it like a motor. The same machine I can connect it and run it like a generator. So construction wise they are exactly same. Depends on your how you are handling the connections and energy and all these things. It behaves like motor or generator. That's again very interesting aspect of a power system. Transformer symbol is like this. You might have already seen it. Okay, so this is actually a three phase, three lines are coming, and then this is a transformer, and then it's like that. So there is single phase transformers are there are three phase transformers are there. If it is a three phase transformer, do you know what are the connection models for three phase? Star and delta. Either you connect the three phases in the star kind of connection, or you can connect the three phases in the delta kind of connection. So that also sometimes is mentioned, like delta here and then star here. Okay, that means what? The primary winding of the three phase transformer is connected in the form of delta, and the secondary winding is connected in the form of star. Okay. So why we should use delta connection sometimes, why we should use star connection sometimes, it's again a different discussion. We'll keep it for some other time. Okay. This is transformer. There is another symbol for transformer. It is something like this, just circles. So this is low voltage side, this is high voltage side. Just to represent a step up transformer, it is used like that. Okay, transmission line, the symbol is like this. You can use okay, so this is the symbol. This is called pi model of a transmission line. In fact, modeling of transmission line is again another lecture, another topic we will cover in this course sometime later. Given a transmission line, how do you model it or what kind of ways? So now, why is it like this? I just want to briefly discuss. So if there is a power transmission line, obviously it will have resistance. Okay. So if the line is 100 kilometers and another line is 50 kilometers, so more or less you can guess that the 100 kilometers line will have double the resistance of the 50 kilometer line, because the resistance is proportional to the length of the conductor and so on. Okay. Just approximately, some resistance will be there. Now this R is nothing but modeling for that resistance of the transmission line. Okay. A transmission line will also have inductance. Okay. So that inductance also modeled by this L. Okay. Now, how do you know how much inductance a transmission line has? So there are, it's again an engineering problem. If I give you the height of the tower and if I give you the dimensions of the conductor, diameter of the wire and everything, height of the tower and all these things, distance between the A phase, distance between the V, all these things, if I give that data, based on that, one should be able to find out how much is the inductance of that particular transmission line for this. Again, that we will see modeling of a transmission line in detail later. But today, just for representation purpose, assume that some inductance is there. Okay, that will be given in the question. The line has such and such inductance. Then you use it to do some calculations. Similarly, capacitance. Okay. Now, why is inductance shown in series and why capacitance is shown in parallel? So, capacitance is like two charged conductors separated by insulating material. So, there is a high voltage transmission line on the head and the ground is the 0 volts. So, there is a voltage difference and in between air is there. So, air is acting like the insulator. So, it is a very big capacitor that you see on the outside on the road. So, to model that capacitance, now why there are two capacitors? Just to have it as a balanced representation. This is called pi model. So, the total capacitance of the line divided into two parts. One is given to the receiving end and one is given to the sending end, so that it's a pi model. Okay. So, that's about representation of transmission line. There's much more theory behind it. We'll come to it. Now, sometimes if the length is very less, okay, you can neglect the capacitance. Okay. In that case, the transmission line is just RL without any C, if it's a very small line. And sometimes you can even neglect the resistance, okay, because if the length is small, and it is by design, because in every ohm of resistance is very costly, it is losing power. So they try to use the nice material, nice dimensions and all, so that the resistance is as low as possible, so that there are no losses. So in some cases you can neglect the resistance also. Usually some inductance will be there. Inductance anyway, it's not causing any losses. It has only consumption of reactive power, so it will be there. And if you say I don't even want to represent inductance, then you can just make it as a short circuit and it's like a connection point or a bus bar. Okay. So even that is one symbol, bus bar. So bus bar looks something like this. Okay. So this itself, so it is like this. To that different things are connected. So this is a bus bar. So this is connection to equipment 1, connection to equipment 2, connection to equipment 3, connection to equipment 4 and so on like that. Okay. So if I draw a circle and then this one, that means a generator is connected to bus bar. Okay. And if I draw another circle, so generator number 2 is also connected to the same bus bar. It is possible, you can connect two generators to the same bus bar. Okay. But then under what conditions you should connect, how it should not cause some problem or anything, you can, that's again a different topic in power system. So then you can also show it as a, I'll just draw it like this. This is another load. So and then this is another transmission line. So I can just show like this. This is also, so this is a transmission line going to the neighboring city or something. This is going to the another place. So basically you are generating some power here, consuming some locally, remaining power you are sending to the other network. So that's the meaning of that diagram. Anyway, so now with this background, this is about single line representation. Now I will talk about per unit system. See, I want to do some calculations on the power network. The moment I want to do that, the problems, one major problem comes is like this. There are generators, then there is transformer, then there is a transmission network. Okay. See, when I draw like this, there may be 10 different generators at 10 different places. I'm just schematically I'm showing like this. I should use this symbol now, generator. Now, and then at this side again there is a step down, and then finally there is a load. Okay, this is a general structure. The problem what happens is, if I want to solve this network, because of these transformers, maybe this is 1:10 ratio, step up transformer, and maybe this is let's say 10:1. Okay, it may be like that, or it may be 20:1 also. Okay, so it need not be same. I just want to give an example. Now, to solve this problem, you cannot apply right away the Ohm's law, because like you say V equal to I into Z. The problem is, where is this ratio coming into picture here? So like here I'm generating 100 volts. Okay, so that 100 volts, the Ohm's law will apply only up to here. When it goes there, you will have to see, that means you have to solve this circuit separately, then you have to solve this circuit separately, the second part of the transmission you have to solve it separately, and then you have to solve this part separately. Everywhere there is a transformer, it becomes a different problem, and you have to solve it like that. Okay. So to make it as a uniform this thing, we are using the per unit system, where you are trying to eliminate the effect of having a transformer. Okay. It's just a nice mathematical trick. So I'll just explain that how it is. Okay. See, just take a simple circuit. This is 100 angle 10 degrees, and then this is the impedance. Let's say this is 6 ohms, and not 6, I'll just say 20 ohms, angle is 30 degrees. Okay. Now the question is, what is the current? So here this is volts, and this is ohms, and the current is in amperes. So I equal to V by Z. Okay. So 100 10 degrees divided by 20 30 degrees. So you will get the answer 5. Okay. And then it is minus 20 degrees. This is in amperes. Okay. So V equal to I into Z. Okay. Now the V is a complex number. Okay. To represent complex number, I will draw line like this. V is a complex number, I is a complex number, and Z is a complex number, and they have different units. Okay. V has a different unit, volts, amperes, and ohms. Now what I want to do is, I will divide by some other quantities. Okay. So I'll choose V base equal to, okay, I'll choose some base voltage. Okay, it can be anything. Okay, so can you suggest any number? Okay, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 like that. Any number up to 0 to 100 or even more also, 0 to 200. Anything you can suggest. 90. I'll read it as 90. Even 9 you can take. So let's say 90 volts is your okay. Some random voltage I have taken 90 volts. That is my base voltage. That's a base voltage I am saying. Okay, and it is not a vector. It is just a scalar quantity. Okay, no angle. Now I base. Okay. So can you suggest some amount of current as your base current? 10 amperes. Okay. So 10 amperes is my base current. Okay. Now I should now, after choosing two quantities, the third quantity you cannot choose randomly. Okay. So what will be your Z base? V by I. Okay, 9 ohms. Okay. So now this is my per unit system. This is called per unit system. And specifically the base quantities inside the per unit system. Now you apply per unit system to this power network. Okay. So when I convert it, I want to cancel the volts. Okay. How to cancel the volts? Divide it by V base. Okay. So 10 by 90, volts and volts get cancelled. Okay. So then my network becomes like this. 1.11 angle 30 degrees. 10 degrees, angle 10 degrees, 1.11 per unit. Okay, what is the units? No voltage. See why 1.11? 100 divided by 9, 100 divided by 90 is 1.11. Okay. Now, what is the impedance? Okay, so divide by 9. Okay, 20 divided by 9, how much? 2.22 angle 30 degrees. Now, is the unit ohms? It's not ohms, again per unit. Okay, the impedance is 2.22 per unit, voltage is 1.11 per unit. Okay. In that case, now apply the Ohm's law, per unit Ohm's law. V per unit equal to I per unit into Z per unit. Okay. If this is the Ohm's law in per unit, it's all are unitless quantities, then what is I per unit? 1.11 divided by 2.22. This will be 0.5, angle will be, this angle was 10, this angle was 30, so 0.5 minus 20 degrees. Okay, this is my current. Okay. Now, when you are finally, this was your per unit system you are using solving the problem. When finally you are printing the results or output of your results, in that case you convert back into I in amperes. Okay, how do you convert a per unit quantity into normal quantity? You have to multiply. Okay, for cancelling the volts you divided it. Volts cancel, amps cancel. Now you multiply by 10. Okay, so 0.5 into 10. This is 5. Angle is minus 20 degrees, and here units will come back amperes. Okay, so what you are trying to do with this per unit system is introduce per unit system, then remove all the units. Just you have numbers, then solve the circuit, and then again you convert back the results into per unit. Okay, so maybe quickly I'll solve one more small problem, then we can see. Okay. So is there any other quantity apart from V base, I base and Z base? So there will be, you can call it S base. Okay, so S base, that means this is a volt ampere base. Okay, so what is S base? In this case V base into I base, 900 volt amperes. Okay, now you should also be wary about the units also. Now the S base is expressed as 900 volt ampere, it may be 0.9 kVA. Okay, you can also mention it as a kilovolt ampere, just K means multiplied by 1000. Okay, so that is about S base. So in any of these four, two you choose, the other two you have to calculate. Okay, I can choose S base and I, then V and Z you have to calculate. I can choose S base and V base, then the other you can calculate. Okay. Okay, so the question was what is Q base? Okay, now what you do is, let's say there is a load. Okay, this particular load is 20 kilowatts plus J 50 vars kVAR. Okay, so this is the load, P plus Q. Okay, how do you represent this in the per unit system? Okay, so to cancel out kilowatts, actually you can divide by this VA itself, you can cancel out that. Okay, so this is 20,000 divided by 900. How much is this? How much is this? 22.22 per unit. Okay, plus J 50,000 divided by 900. How much is that? How much? 50,000 divided by 900. 55 point. Oh, okay. Interesting. So this is again in per unit. Okay. Now you can take per unit common, and then you can say this whole thing is per unit. Okay. This is nothing but load in per unit. Okay. Load in per unit is 22.22 plus J 55.55 per unit. So like that you have just removed the units. Yes. Yes. So all the base quantities are all scalar quantities. So the angle is always 0 for all. Yes, S base and P base both are equal. Yes. So see, okay. The question was if S base is 900 VA and you are dividing with P, why are you again dividing with Q? The way we can answer that, see, in general, let me restate the question maybe just for this thing. The question is why not have a base for active power and a base for reactive power? Why separately we are not having any base like that? Why only kVA base? So just look at this triangle, okay. So this triangle is, what was the 20 kilowatt, 50 kVAR, and then this one is 20 square plus 50 square under. How much is the VA for this? So 20 square is 400, right? 50 square is, and then this is 2900, and what is the root of that? Square root of 2900. 53.8. Okay, let's take that. kVA. Okay, now I want to find another triangle which is similar to this triangle. This angle should be maintained same. Let's say this angle is 5 degrees. The same angle I want to maintain it. Okay. So divide this by some constant, divide this by some constant, divide this by same constant. You will get a same triangle once again, similar triangle. Okay. Now that similar triangle, our division is 900. Okay. Divide this by 900. Divide this by 900, divide this by 900, then you are getting, this is 22.22 per unit, okay, and something like that. Okay, so that's why we use the same number to divide all of that. Okay. But then we have to choose some, I cannot say K base or some other letter, you know. So just we use S base for that. Yeah. Okay, so the question was why the angle for base is always 0? Why not use some complex per unit system? Okay, maybe it is possible to use it mathematically, but then see, it may be more calculations or something like that. Maybe it is possible to use some kind of angles and then solve the problem. Okay, like you give 10 degrees for this, okay, and then solve the entire problem. When somehow the other units also will have to be converted. You can just try that as an experiment and then see what happens. If it works, then the explanation will be okay. It is working with some complex basis quantities also, but then it is, since it is difficult, we are not using it. Okay? And if it doesn't work, the answer will be, oh, it is not working. Therefore, we'll use only real base quantities. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm trying to escape by giving some answer. Okay. Now in the whole discussion, I never touched the concept of transformer in between. Okay. So just I'll give you one problem now. The problem is like this. I'll write it like this. There is a generator, then there is a bus bar, then there is a transformer, then there is a transmission line, okay, maybe R plus JX, and then other end there is another transformer, another bus bar, and then there is a load. Okay. Now the values. Okay. Let's say this is I'll say rating. See, every machine will have a rating. So when you buy a iron box or buy a washing machine, it has a certain rating. Okay. So let's say the rating of this is 400 volts. Okay. This particular generator is designed that it generates 400 volts under normal conditions. Okay. Now the question is it a one-phase generator or a three-phase generator? Typically it will be a three-phase generator, and then when somebody says the three-phase generator voltage is 400 volts, it means 400 is first RMS value. So the peak value will be 400 into root 2 times, that is not mentioned, that's the rating is 400 volts. And that voltage is between two lines, line to line voltage, not the phase to phase voltage. Okay. So line to line voltage of the output of this generator is 400 volts as per rating. Okay. But on a particular, let's say on a Friday morning, 10 o'clock, it may not be 400, it may be 420 or 430 or even 380, it may keep on varying. The rating is different and the actual is different. We'll come to that. I am just writing the ratings. Now this transformer is 1:20. Okay, that means 400 volts will be multiplied 20 times if it is as per rating, and then I am transmitting. Okay, maybe this one is 2 ohms plus J5 ohms. Okay, the impedance of this line in ohms. Okay, now this side maybe it is 10:1. Okay, the ratio of the transformer. That's how it is designed. Okay, and this side the load. Okay, let's say the load is something like how much shall we write? I want to choose some values so that we don't get difficult answers. 400 volts. I want to write it in the form of ohms only, the load in the form of impedance, okay, so that we can make a circuit. Or let's do it like this. I'll just say 10 kilowatt plus J6 kVAR. Okay. Now what I have done is I also measured the voltage here. Okay. So what is the rated voltage for the load? Rated voltage for the load should be 800 volts, isn't so? Because increasing 20 times, decreasing 10 times, that means actually you are doubling it. Okay. If you design the system properly, this load should be able to operate at the rated voltage of 800 volts. Okay. But on a particular day, particular time, maybe the voltage is only 750 volts. Okay. This is the actual. Okay. Rated is 800 volts and the actual is 750 volts. Okay. Now let us solve the problem, and the question we are asking is what is the actual generated voltage? So I'll call it E1 delta 1. Okay. Here I'll call it E2 delta 2. Okay. Now E1 delta 1 is the sending end generated voltage. E2 delta 2 is the receiving end voltage. Okay. The question is what is E1 delta 1 for this particular problem. Okay. Now some more data I want to give it. This particular transformer has some resistance and reactance because of the transformer winding and all. So let's call it let's say 1 ohm plus J3 ohms. This also same thing, 1 ohm plus J3 ohms. Okay, I have just given the data like this. Okay. Now you might have studied transformers before. How can I give one value of impedance for a transformer? There are two windings if it is a one phase transformer. So what is this one actually? Yeah, so you might have studied somewhere how to transfer the primary reactance and resistance to the secondary side and then add it to the already existing secondary quantity to make a like instead of having impedance, winding and impedance and a transformer, you are having a one impedance and an ideal transformer. This is one impedance, ideal transformer, something like that. Or you can have this side short circuit, this side impedance. You can do it like that. You can use the ratio to convert it. So knowing that, now the generator itself will have some resistance and reactance that I will not consider now. So how do you find E1 delta 1? How do you find E1 delta 1 without using per unit system? How do you start? Okay, so one suggestion I am getting is find the current. Okay, we can easily find this current. To begin with, I know this E2 magnitude is 750 volts. Okay, I will take delta 2 equal to 0. So this is my reference. Okay, I can just take any one reference, and the rest of the angles will be according to that. Okay, so E2 delta 2 I know. What is E2 delta 2 now? E2 delta 2 equal to 750 0 degrees. This is in volts. Okay. Now what is the, let's call this as L2 or S2. Okay, this is my load. Okay, S2. Now 10,000 plus J 6,000. Okay, so I'll just write it VA. Okay, it just means you take it VA inside, it will become watts and wars. Okay. Now what is I2? So we know that V or E2 as a complex number multiplied by I2 as a complex number is equal to S2 as a complex number. Of course, you have to take a conjugate. So this one you know already. E2 into I2 conjugate is S2. So what is I2 conjugate? S2 divided by E2. So let's do that. Okay. What is S2? This one. So plus J 6,000 divided by 750 plus J0. Okay. So because the 0 is there, it's very easy. 750 divide here, 750 divide there, you will get the answer. Okay. So how much is S2? Sorry, I2. I2 conjugate equal to, okay, what is 10,000 divided by 750? 10,000 divided by 750. Okay, 13.3. Okay. So temporarily I will write it plus here. Okay. And what is 6,000 divided by 750? 8. Okay, this is in amperes. So J is also there, J8. Okay, this is my complex current. Okay. Now if I want to remove this conjugate, then I will remove this plus, I will make it minus. Okay. So the current is lagging or leading the voltage? The current is lagging right away. Why? Because if you draw the phasor, this length is 13.3 and this length is minus 8. Okay, so the addition of these two is this one. This is the I vector and this is the E vector. So E is leading, I is lagging, therefore the load is lagging, all the things that you already know. Okay, that you know because this is plus here. Okay, this I'll now take it. So what is the next step now? So he has suggested me find current, I completed that, I found the current. Okay. What do I do next now? This current is here. Okay. Now there is a 10:1 transformer with 1 ohm plus J 3 ohms. How do you deal with this one? Of course, somebody has to mention whether this is on the primary side or it is on the secondary side. Okay. Let's say this one is on this side only, on the transmission side only, and this one is also on this side. Okay. So right now we don't have problem. So what you do? You multiply this by 10. Okay. This one is I2. This one is I2 dash. Okay, I2 dash. Okay, multiplied by 10. Okay, then what happens? This will be 133 minus J80. This is I2 dash. Okay, yes. Yeah, good question. I'm sorry, you should divide it. Of course, high voltage transmission, low currents. Okay, you have to divide it. Correction. So I2 dash will be 1.33 minus J0.8. Correct. So now this current will get multiplied with the impedances in the lines. Okay. What happens now? I2 dash multiplied by, okay, I will add 1 plus J3, okay, plus, then I will add 2 plus J5, 2 plus J5, then I will add 1 plus J3 again, okay, then I do this whole multiplication, okay, then what I will get it? I will get the voltage at this end, okay, then I divide it by, or what should I do? This is the voltage drop. Okay, let's finish this first. So I just want to show you how difficult it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 4. then 3, 5, 8, 11. 4 plus j11 multiplied by 1.33 minus j.8. Okay, so 4 into 1.33 plus 11 into 0.8. So all the things you can try to do it. So how much is that? How much is that? Okay, 14 point. So V drop, voltage drop equal to 14, 1 to 11.43 J. So this much voltage is dropping in this transmission line. Okay. So here is E2. At this end there will be E2 dash. Okay. What is E2 dash? So E2 dash will be 7500. Okay. Angle is 0. Now from this you subtract this. Okay. So yes, exactly. So we should add it. I was just seeing whether you are listening or not. So this is E1 dash. E1 dash. What is E1 dash? 7500. This plus this. Okay. Then you will get the E1 dash here. Then what you do? Then you have to multiply it by 20. Or divide by 20. Yes. So always do the opposite of what I am saying. So divide by 20. Then you will get E1 dash. It will be some angle also you will get it. So that is what is the voltage at the receiving end. So you want to do that now or we'll leave it here? Or we can quickly verify also. Just try to do that. How much is it? How much is this? Can you quickly calculate it? See, in fact it's very easy. Just look here. See, because this is 0, just this plus this. So E2 dash will be 7514.12 plus J 11.43 right away. Okay. Now this you convert into, this is E1 dash. You convert into polar form. How much is that? (7514) angle 08. Okay, so let's round it to 0.1 degrees. Okay, small angle. Okay, so if here the delta 1 is larger than delta 2, therefore the direction of power will be from left side to right side. Higher power flows from higher angle to lower angle. Also look at the magnitude. So this magnitude is more than this magnitude. Oh, by the way, I have to divide by what? So now this actual E1 will be divided by 20. How much is that? 7514 divided by 20. 375.7, angle will be same, 0.1 degrees. Okay, I hope that is the final answer. So the rating, whereas the rating was 400 volts, the actual voltage is only 375.7 because of the load voltage. All right, so now let us try, remember this answer. I'll write it here. So E1 is 375.7, angle 0 degrees. So let's try to solve the same problem in per unit system. Okay. So in per unit system, what happens is you convert this into a reactance diagram. Okay. The diagram is like this. So this represents the E1. Then the transformer is replaced with its reactance and resistance. So this is the representation of transformer. Okay, this is T1. Now the line is replaced by per unit resistance and reactance. This is the representation of this line. then another transformer. This is a representation of another transformer. Then there is a load. Okay. Now you will agree that this one is easier to solve compared to the other one because I have eliminated the transformers. But how did I eliminate the transformers? Okay. That all that is involved in this conversion actually. So let's verify that, or let's see that how it is done. Okay. So we need a per unit system. Okay, so let's begin by defining V base. Okay, for G1. Okay, so in the place where this generator is there, I want to define a base voltage. Okay, what is my base voltage for the generator G1? Okay, you can take any random value. You can take 600 volts. You can take 900 volts. You can take 1200 volts, whatever. But usually the practice is, because the manufacturing rating is 400 volts, you use that itself, so that it's less confusion. So I am saying V base for generator G1 will be 400 volts. But the problem is I cannot use the same voltage for this transmission line because there is a transformer. Okay, so wherever there is a transformer, so the validity of this one is only this region. Okay, I can just use. So in this region, VB equal to 400. In this region only it is valid. Okay. Now when I jump across the transformer, I reach another region. This is the second region, this one. Okay. I am just putting in between of the transformer like this. So in this region, what should be your V base? Can you choose any random value? So you cannot choose because this transformer we want to eliminate. Okay. So by choosing a voltage base of how much? 400 into 20. Okay. 8000 volts. By properly choosing a base voltage of 8000 volts, all the equipment in this region, I can eliminate the transformer. Okay. You will see how it is. So V base is for this. Now based on this, again, what is the V base for this one? V base is 800 volts. Okay. So now I have covered all the network. So if there is a very big network, each part of the network you have to do that circles. Wherever there is a transformer, you mark that region and then using the transformer ratio convert that. So V base. Okay. Now what is the S base? I said we can choose two values, the other two values get fixed. Okay, so S base also you can choose it. So what we can do is S base you can give common for the entire system because we already considered the transformer ratios, so it's okay. Let's take something like 20,000 VA or 20 kVA as my S base. I'm just giving generally a number. Okay. I'll write it 20 kVA. This is my S base. Okay. So once you have, now your per unit system is defined. Okay. So maybe I'll write it in the form of a table. Maybe I'll write it. Maybe here itself I'll write it. So serial number. Now equipment. So basically you can do this in an Excel sheet. That's what I wanted to say. Now V base, then G base, and then G per unit, G actual, and then G per unit. Okay, just pay attention for this. Okay, serial number 1, and then I am talking about the generator G1. Okay, for this generator G1, what is V base? 400. Just now we wrote it down. And what is G base? By the way, we don't have to do this calculation because Z actual is 0. Impedance of the transformer not given. Oh, sorry, the generator is not given. So it is 0. So Z per unit also will be 0. We will not do this calculation. This is not applicable. Not required. You can do it, but not required. Now let's go to the second device. Okay, what is the second device? Transformer T1. Okay. For the transformer T1, what is the base voltage? So should you use 8000 or should you use 400? What you do is why 8000? You look at the data. Okay, this data it was how much? 1 plus J3, right? This was 1 plus J3. This was referred to which side? When the data was given to you, this was referred to the secondary side. Therefore, you use the voltage base of the secondary side. Okay. So here voltage base is 800. 8000. Now, what is the impedance base on the 8000? You have to calculate that. Okay. How do you calculate? See, Z base is equal to V base by I base. Okay, but I base itself is unknown. Okay. So what do you do now? So I can multiply V base and then V base. V base by V base, I'll just multiply to this. Okay, so it will be VB square by SB. That's all. Okay. So Z base you will get it by VB square by SB. Okay. 8000 square divided by 20,000. How much is that? 8000 square divided by 20,000. 3200. Sure? 3200. This is units is ohms. Okay. What is the actual impedance of the transformer? 1 plus J3. Isn't it? Okay. 1 plus J3. In fact, in this whole region, this is there, this is also there. Okay. All of them are in the same region of 8000 volts. Okay. So I will combine the transmission line and I will combine this also. For all of them, V base is same. For all of them, Z base is same. And then all of them have different values of reactance and this one that I can add it up. Okay. So I just want to combine make the combined per unit. Okay. Of course, here I have just put separately. So okay, maybe we'll do that. So what is 1 divided by 3200 and 3 divided by 3200? So that will be here. How much is that? 3.1 into 10 power minus 4. Is that? Plus 9.3 into 10 power minus 4 J. So just I converted this into per unit. Okay, why 9.3? Because it will be 3 times that. Okay. The same I can copy it here. 3.1 10 power minus 4 E minus 4 plus J 9.3 E minus 4. Okay. And then what about this one? 2 plus J5. So it will be double of this. 6.2 E minus 4 plus J. It will be addition of 2 plus this. 15.5 E minus 4. I hope you are getting it. Okay. Now there are no units here. All of these are in per unit. Okay. Per unit, per unit, per unit. Okay. Now what is the voltage here? So this calculation we already done it. So see figure. I just put the values here. So what is the next thing? This one. Okay. What you do is you represent this load into per unit. Okay. So what you can do? I'll write it here. S2 per unit equal to. Okay. S2 per unit equal to 10,000 divided by 8,000, 20,000. 10,000 divided by 20,000 is 0.5 per unit. Okay. So 0.5 per unit. And then 6,000 divided by 20,000. How much is that? 0.3 per unit. Okay, 0.5 per unit plus J 0.3 per unit. Okay, this is the S2. Okay. Now what is E2? 750 divided by 800, because in this region the base voltage is 800. Okay. What is 750 divided by 800? Thank you, 0.9375 per unit. Okay. Now what is I2 per unit? I2 per unit will be S2 E2, and then again you have to do the conjugate. Okay. So S2 has an angle, this one does not have an angle. So what you do is I2 conjugate is S2 by E2. Okay. So S2 by E2. So 0.5 divided by 0.9375. How much is that? 0.5 divided by 0.9375. 563 minus J. So this is I2 itself, because minus is there. 0.32. Okay. Now I got the current in per unit. Okay. Once you got the current in per unit, you can multiply everything. You can add all this, and then one shot you can solve the drop. Okay. So what is the addition of all these things? 3.1, 6.2, 3.1. So it will be 6.2 into 2, 12.4. Okay. I'll say Z equal to 12.4 plus how much is 9.3, 15.5, 9.3, 9, 9, 18, 34, 34.1. Notice that there is a 10 power minus 4 here. This is my impedance. So this into this. There is a J here. Okay. It's slightly difficult, I agree. So multiply these two. 0.563 minus J 3.32, and 10 power 4 is also there. So multiplication of these two. See, maybe I'll also show you one app. So this app is called PowerCalc. So maybe you can use it. It has all the angles, radians, degrees, seconds and all. It looks like calculator now. It's a scientific calculator. Yeah, somebody is using the same app. Okay, so this is the app. I'll show it on the screen also. So the app is PowerCalc. It's a free app. Okay, so how much is the answer? How much? 6.3. 1.3. 1.3 plus 2.25 J. 10 minus 6. Why minus 6 is coming? Because of this, sir. Why minus 6 is coming? That's minus 3 seems correct. How much? 1.78 plus 1.52 J. Okay. Into 10 power minus 3. Okay. So that is the drop. So I'll draw the drop here. V drop equal to 0.00178 plus 0.00152. Okay. So this is the voltage drop. Okay. It's not in volts, it's in per unit. Okay. What is the voltage here? It is 1 plus J0. The voltage here is 1 plus J0 in per unit. Okay. So this one plus this one, what you will get here? 1.00178, okay, plus 0.00152. I'm sorry. This is not 1 per unit. This is how much? 0.9375. See, this is 0.9375 plus J0, I'm sorry. So then this will be how much? 0.9375 plus this one. So 93 will be same, it will be 8, 9, 3, 5, 8. Okay. Okay. So now we got this one. So what you have to do now, you convert this into polar. Okay. How do you convert this into polar? Convert this into polar. 0.93938 plus 0.00152. So don't lose track. We'll come to that. How much is this? 0.9392, 0.09. So that means 0.1 degrees, at least that much is correct. So 0.392 per unit you convert into actual voltage by multiplying with the base voltage, which is 400. Okay, 9392 into 400. How much is that? How much? 375. Okay, so see, this is matching with this 375.7. Even that's 0.7 also matching. What happened? He calculated, no? So you are using the same app. Okay, so he is also using the same app. So see, which one is more easy? See, because you have a single loop kind of thing, the first one was easy. But if you have a very large network with multiple ways, like there's only one route. So if it is all divided into different routes, then yeah.
It's the primary side to secondary and this one also secondary to primary.
Okay. 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 Very interesting question. So he's saying we can convert everything into one, like transfer all the impedances into one base, and then we can solve it. Okay. So we are indirectly doing that. Okay. We are indirectly doing that, considering the transformer ratio and then all that. We are indirectly doing that by going through per unit system. Yes. So the other way is also complicated, because which one will you transfer it to all? Like what happens is, you will say I will solve the entire problem in 800 volts. Okay. Then you will transfer this load into primary side. You will transfer this everything into this side, and this one you transfer everything into this side, and then finally you will solve the problem here. Okay. So effectively we are doing the same thing. There you will still have this 800 volts in your solution. Otherwise, if it is in per unit, it's like that. Okay. So to draw a picture of what he is saying is, see, this is a large power network. Okay. So I'll just join like this. So in this region having different voltage, this region, so there is different voltages. Okay, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. Okay, so different parts of your power network operating in different voltages. Okay, how to solve it? To find out what is the current and all. So one way to solve it is transfer everything into one common voltage. Okay, let's say you can transfer, see here there is an impedance. That impedance here you transfer it to V4. This one you transfer here, this one you transfer here, this one you transfer here. This one first you transfer into this, then that value you transfer into this. Something like that you can do it. Okay. Then solve the entire problem in this voltage level. So you will find that if there are 6 components here, if there are 3 components here, if there are 9 components here, and all these things, depending on the number of components, you can choose a correct value and then you transfer it. Okay. And then solve the problem in this Ohm's law you apply here. and then your answers you take it back. That is one method of doing it. Otherwise, you choose some other base system, and then transfer everything into this, and then solve this, and then take it back. So that way. But the problem is for each equipment you have to do like this. Different. Yeah, S base is same, but V base keeps changing for all these things. Anyway, I brought some printouts. I thought of solving this problem, but we solved a different problem. So there's one problem here. Maybe you can try it at your home. Okay, I'm not calling it homework, but you can try it at your home. So we still have a couple of minutes. So just take one each, maybe. Just give those. Yeah, and if they are not enough, you share it. What? Okay, so the question is, are we allowed to bring that app to the exam? So at least for your solving your homework problems, you can use the app. The exam will decide. Okay. See, usually the exam, the question will be something like exam will be something like this. Okay. I'm just giving one sample question. Okay. Following are systems of per unit. Okay, identify the wrong ones. Okay, so there will be V1 base, V2 base, sorry, V1 base, S1 base, Z1 base, I1 base. This is one base system. Okay, whether it is correct or wrong. Okay, then there will be another, there will be another, there will be another. Okay, so which one is valid, which one is correct, which one is not correct. So that will be one question. Okay. So what you have to do here, you have to fix these two, and then calculate this one, whether it is coming correctly or not. Okay. So if the voltage base is 1000 and the S base is 10,000, then you have to get I base is 10 only. Okay. If the I base is given something like 15, then that choice is wrong. So something like that. Okay. So more like conceptual questions like this. Maybe one small, even the problem also will be there. On the left side, you have some advantages. I'll just quickly read out last 2 minutes. Okay. Advantages of per unit values. Okay. I hope more or less everybody got this, or you can share it. So the first one, okay, per unit values of equipment that have widely varying ratings, narrow range, while their actual ohmic values differ from equipment to equipment. So what is the first point? The 2 ohms or sometimes 20 ohms or sometimes 200 ohms, the ohms value keeps on changing with the size of the machine. Okay? But in per unit, it will be always like percentage. So it is easier to compare. Okay? So you can say, I have so many, I drank so many liters of water. Okay, then maybe if you make it percentage, and also it will be nice. Or relative kind of thing, like father asked the son, how many marks did you get? He says, I got only 1 mark less than my friend Raju. Okay, very good. But how much did Raju get? Only 1 mark he got. So per unit values, base value are appropriately selected. I don't know, second point is something. Okay, third point, per unit values are independent of type of power system. Okay, all the voltage base 2 sides of transformer, the 3-phase circuit, definite relationship, all the things. Anyway, there's a problem on the right. You try to attempt that problem, and maybe next class we'll try it. Okay.